dare to believe. Sometimes we hear something or feel God's voice or nudge, and we kind of tuck it away. And sometimes we step out in courage and dare to believe that God has called us and will equip us into something greater. So, super fun. I'm going to share a couple of numbers with this group here because it is absolutely incredible, the daring that has gone on with these two. And so I hope you're just as inspired as I am about this. So, the Maxwells are parents to 440 children in their orphanage. There you go. Janine was like, we've got updated numbers. I'm like, what are the numbers? And she said 440, and I was like, oh, wow, it's amazing. They also feed more than 4,500 orphaned and vulnerable children on a weekly basis through the churches and the schools that they partner with around their community, which is just absolutely incredible. And they also employ over 485 Swazi workers who grow vegetables, run the dairy that you saw in the video, the vocational training centers, medical clinics and schools, and so much more. And so it is my honor to welcome to the stage Janine. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We live in the little country called Eswatini, and the greeting in Eswatini to a group of people, I would say, is Sani Bonani, and your response is Yebo. Can you do that? Okay, Sani Bonani. Yebo. All right, so Sani Bonani is really cool because it means I see you. We don't say, hey, how's it going? We say, I see you. And your response is, yes, I've been seen. And I just think it's so powerful, such a powerful way to start in understanding why we're here, and that you are seen, and that the children are seen, that the women are seen, and that I am seen. And thank you for the beautiful introduction. I just want to say, we love Feed My Starving Children. I say it all the time, we love them. If you don't know who they are, follow them. If you haven't packed with them, pack with them. They're just the most amazing, kind, thoughtful, intentional group of partner that we've ever worked with. And so we're just thank you for the opportunity to be here. Love seeing some friends. I didn't think I'd know anybody in Dallas, but like 3 tables of people. Raise your hand if you knew us from the old days. Thank you. First board, one of our first board members, friends from many years ago, met in Vegas. That was fun. People from Texas who packed up and moved to Eswatini with their family, built a house there. So we're really happy to be here and have Heart for Africa well represented. So we are the parents to 440 children, so we don't call ourselves an orphanage because they are no longer orphans. They are our children. And yes, we know them all by name, and yes, we know their personalities, and we have, our youngest is 12 months. No, sorry, our youngest is 1 month, and our oldest is 15, so we're heading into the teenage years. So you can pray for that, but we also have 45 2-year-olds. So depending on where you are on the spectrum of life, you can choose which age group you want to pray for our staff. Caring for them. But a lot of these children, we only receive children under the age of 2. That's part of our ministry. And so those children grow up with us until they're teenage years, and then we have a bridge that takes them 4 years beyond high school. So we're not just kicking them out as often happens in foster care or other homes or orphanages around the world. But when the kids come to us, they're often in really bad shape. The mothers were severely malnourished themselves. Many girls, I hate to say it, but it's ladies, they're 11 years old, they're 12 years old, they're 13 years old, and we have something called generational rape. So they're getting impregnated by their grandfather, their uncle, their brother, and no one wants that baby there. No one wants the baby in the house because everybody knows what's going on, and oftentimes the grandfather wants to kill the child because that's the proof, if there's a DNA test, that he's the father. So often that's how the babies come to us. They might be found in pit latrines, outdoor toilets. I probably have 50 children who started life in an outdoor toilet in human waste. And these are not, it's very easy to go, oh, these girls, they're so cruel, they're so thoughtless, but they're hopeless. You know, we hope to get a good parking spot. We hope to get good grades. We hope to have a successful event today. But these girls are hopeless, and that's why they're dumping their babies. But some of them come to us as newborns, which is great. Probably 50% of them come as probably within 30 days. But then if they come later, we're dealing with malnutrition. And that's where the partnership with Feed My Starving Children really comes in, not only with partnering and feeding our partner churches, but feeding the kids who come to us. If we go to a slide, I want to show this. So this is Prosper. He came to us, a young mother with HIV positive and tuberculosis, and he's 1 year old in this picture, and he came to us as a newborn. So for those of you looking on that side, he's the one on the far right. Now Freedom, he came to us at 1 year, and you can see he weighs 13 pounds, whereas Prosper weighs 21. The huge difference, the same age. And to show you a comparison to how much he should weigh, we've got Theo, who's 5 months old, and he weighs just a little bit more than Freedom. That's malnutrition. That's stunting. And sometimes there's no coming back from that. Let's go to the next one. This little girl, Ashlyn, who's not happy to have her picture taken, she's 3 or 4 now. She is quite a drama queen, so we saw that early on in her life. So Ashlyn, on April 15th was 2020. She was about 1 year old there, and she was born 4 days before Tibu, who arrived looking like this. One was double the size. Ashlyn was double the size of Tibu. This is malnutrition. This is what it looked like at that age. Next one. All right, now we've got Jacqueline, our little chunky monkey. She came in as a newborn, and in December, she was born December 5th, she was 16 pounds. And then Lusando came, 2 years older than this one, and she weighs 1 pound less. 2 years. It's just shocking. And Mary Lou is about the same age as Lusando, and she's weighing 27 pounds. That's what malnutrition looks like in a baby. You see it often in pictures. You know, you see it in our video and FMSC's video with the older kids running around, but this is what it looks like as a baby and when the mother herself was malnourished. So Feed My Starving Children not only provides us food that is life-giving and life-saving, but they're also our biggest customer for the marketplace. If you look at, you don't need to turn around, but all of the bead craft, all of the little animals, the lions, the giraffes, we designed those really for Feed My Starving Children. And they've been our biggest customer for years. In fact, I think last year or this year, to give you a sense, they'll purchase $350,000 US worth of product from us. That's real money. And then you buy it, and then they have more money to go and then send us food. So it's just a beautiful example of how it's a true partnership. And we're able to employ people. We have about 130 workers. Eswatini has approximately a 70% unemployment rate, and actually it was 70% before COVID. So there are no jobs for young people. You've already heard about the education system. They're not getting educated anyway. So we have a lot of young people working in the shop, and when Swazi dignitaries come in, they're like, how did you get all these young people here? Well, they live there. They came to work. And then some of the older ladies who used to work in the farm, back-breaking work, and they can now sit and put beads on wire. They have a safe job, they're dry, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful experience. So please do shop, but that's a really big deal to us. Our goal is to become self-sustainable by 2030, and the marketplace and Feed My Starving Children is a big part of that. So I want to introduce you to 3 of our workers. So this is Notando Mama. She was 18 years old, her parents both died, and she actually, so many of our staff, their parents died when they were even younger than that. She has 3 younger siblings that she automatically cared for, and she has a child. She lives with her sick grandmother. She cares for 10 family members, so her income solely covers everything that they need. It doesn't cover everything they need, but that's the only income. And has extreme poverty, lives in a household of extreme poverty. She actually grew up on Manapak since she was small, and we would love to get to a place where she doesn't need it anymore. But the fact is, because she has Manapak, her kids can also eat healthy food, and she can use her income to send her kids to school. So the Ripple is 10 people being fed and being cared for by her, and her daughter has education, and we hope the next generation doesn't need to be reliant on the food, but at this stage in time, they do. This is Gogo Mapalala. Can you say Mapalala? Kind of fun, isn't it? Mapalala. So Gogo is old. I'm 61, and I'm very old by Swazi standards. Next slide. And so she's 63, very old in that culture. The average life expectancy is around 29. We have the highest HIV rate in the world. She lives around alone, she has chronic arthritis. We go and visit her, we bring things to her, and the visit, honestly, is the most important thing to her. It's like you visited me when I was in prison. She's in prison, but when we bring her food, we're really the only people bringing her food. She does have neighbors who will bring her things if they have them, but it's usually just maize, so there's no food value to that. But she literally has hope because food is brought to her. So the next slide. Gogo Mapulala's body remains weak, her faith is strong, and through consistent food support, her hope has been restored. And she says that when we go to visit her, her joy is uncontrollable because someone cared enough to visit and we brought food. And then church partner number 19. So this is one of our feeding programs. They feed over 400 children 6 days a week. That only started during COVID because most of the food partners pulled out of the country. They pulled everybody back to the States or Canada. We were the only people in the country who were still feeding children during COVID. So some of the children walk over an hour to get food. The church started with a very small congregation and has actually grown because of the food. And if you go to a Swazi church, it's usually like 3% men, 10% women, and the rest is children. So their church has grown because of the food that Feed My Starving Children has given us to give to them. And honestly, we're helping them be the church. That's what the church isn't there to just preach. There's no point preaching if they're hungry. So this gives them the opportunity to feed the children, and then they have the right to have a conversation. And the Ripple, what began as a small, struggling church, has become a thriving center of hope where children are fed, families are strengthened, and faith is growing. And that's what it's all about. It seems so simple, and it is simple, but it starts with food, 29 cents a meal. So we go back to Prosper and the first two, if you go to the next slide. This is them today, in the same order. Little guy in the middle, he's pulling it through. Poor little Tibu. Let's look at Tibu and Ashlyn. There they are. And Ashlyn, yes, still a drama queen, but Tibu, this stage of losing their teeth cracks me up. Next slide, okay. And there we are. So Lusando is still very small. Mary Lou, actually, the tall one on the left, we've discovered that she's severely learning impaired, probably because of the malnutrition for so long when she was young. But there they are, there's our girls today, and we want you to stay connected. So if everybody has their phone and you want to get our barcode, I think that you may recall on your invitation here that you were given access to a link. I've written 3 books. The latest one is called Hope Lives Here. You can buy it at the back, but if you want to listen to the book, I completed the audio version in December, and it is now, we've just gone live with it, so you can go back and click on that, and we would love to provide you with a free copy of my audiobook, Hope Lives Here. Thank you.
Isn't she a rock star? I mean, thank you for letting me go through. I have 3 children. I don't know how you do it.
I have a lot of help.
Yeah, takes a village, right? Yeah, we are really, really blessed for the work that you do and the partners around the world. And one of the things for me as I think about the work that we do and the big task ahead of us is a time when I took our 3 boys camping. And we were up on the north shore of Lake Superior, and I was sitting down as my husband was teaching our boys how to skip rocks across the lake. So they're sitting over here, and I'm watching, and I look up the shore, and there's these huge boulders on this side. And they slowly, progressively are getting smaller and smaller. And they go from boulders to rocks to these, where I'm sitting, I can pick them up, and they're these small little pebbles in my hand. To where my boys are, it's turned into fine black grains of sand. And I was just thinking about how incredible it was that Lake Superior's waves would wash over, and I'd see these rocks kind of tumble down again and again. And it was the reality that water is not wearing through stone by force, but by persistence. One wave at a time, again and again and again. The impossible boulder over here someday was going to become a grain of sand. And what a hopeful thing that God placed in front of me on that shore for the work we do every day, to be persistent, one drop at a time.
And so we have an invitation for you, but first the mic has to start working. Our invitation today is, will you help us to wear down the boulder of starvation? Each of our meals cost 29 cents. And these are not just any meals. These are really, really good, nutritious meals. The vitamins, the macronutrients, the micronutrients that help to bring an undernourished child to nourishment, a malnourished child to nourishment, and to create healthy, happy bodies and minds ready for development. Every dollar that is shared with FMSC is really precious to us, and we use money wisely. We consistently receive a 4-star award from Charity Navigator. We're very proud of that number because we have to be very good stewards in order to earn that year over year over year. And we've earned it for 19 years. You can help feed a child a daily meal for a year for $106. There are 4 children that I have that live in my home, and I can't even put a meal on the table for them for a week for $106. Can you imagine the wave that we can cause here today when we work together? We believe that when women come together, that's powerful. That is a powerful time and space for us. And so we are inviting you into this special place with Janine and with Ian, with Feed My Starving Children. Will you come alongside of us and cause ripples of hope? Our goal today is to raise $84,800. You might wonder where that number comes from. There are 8 people around each table. There are 100 countries that Feed My Starving Children works in. And so when you do that math, that helps us to arrive at $84,800, feeding a child a day for an entire year. And maybe you're somebody in this room that can write that check. That would be amazing, because we're going to continue to turn that into food. And maybe you're somebody that can't quite write that whole amount, and that's okay. We know that God, through the Holy Spirit, has been working in hearts and minds before we even came into this place today. And so maybe your heart is pulled to feed a child like Tibu. I can't get those pictures out of my head. They are just so sweet, so beautiful. Maybe you can feed more than one child for a year. Maybe like me, you've got 4 kids at home, and in honor of them, you want to provide one child for a year for every one of the children that you have at home or in your lives. That's completely up to you, and it's up to your relationship with the Lord. What we want to do is say, it's okay to dip your toes in. Cause a little ripple. Cause a little holy boldness. Let's get some action going. Let's move. Or you can cannonball. That's just fine too.
And if you are one of our new donors today, if this is going to be your first time to say yes to feeding kids with Feed My Starving Children, we have a generous friend in the room that has provided a match for any new gifts that come in today for up to $7,500. That is incredible. Thank you so much. It's that power of togetherness and community. So if you would like to give today, there are a few different options on how you go about doing this. The first one is you can type in fmsc.org/ripples in your phone. If you want a quicker option, you can scan the QR code right up on the screen. Another option is back at that marketplace when you are doing any purchasing, you can add on a donation right at the register. And then the last option is in that basket in the center of your table. If I can have one of you grab that and pass out the envelopes at your table, that is your other option for giving. You can do your donation in that, put it right back into that basket, and at the end of the event, our staff are going to go around and collect those. Thank you so much for the parts that each and every one of you are playing in making this possible to continue to feed God's kids. I'm really excited. So take the time to do your donating as we watch this next video. QR code. I'm hearing that there's a little bit of a challenge with the QR code, so you are welcome to do the fmsc.org/ripples if you want to do it that way, or fill out those envelopes or back in the marketplace to do your giving today. I loved the energy in the room during that time. Thank you. Let's give yourselves a round of applause. Way to make some waves today. Now, it is my honor to introduce you to our Director of Marketplace, Sarah Peterson. We go way back to the hairnet days, standing around the pallets, me asking mom advice and marriage advice. Way back, Sarah is coming up on 16 years with Feed My Starving Children. 16.
Beth and I both started right out of college together.
Yeah. Close, yeah. And one of the best parts for me about walking alongside Sarah over the past 13 years of my time at FMSC is seeing her passion for Marketplace continue to expand and expand and expand. And just when I thought that she was the most dedicated she could be, she gets even more fierce. And I think it's because of her friendships with women like these who are like, let's go change the world together. So thank you, Sarah, for your friendship and the work you do at FMSC. It's amazing.
That was a really, really nice introduction. Janine is going to talk with me. That was a very nice introduction. Thank you, Beth. I am honored to be here with all of you today. As has been said, it's just so encouraging to be in a room full of women that want to make changes, that want to change the world. So I'm just thrilled to be here with all of you. Wanted to talk to you a little bit more about FMSC Marketplace today and about our relationship with Kutzala Artisans. So a little bit, just to go a little bit deeper about how our marketplace works. First of all, we do this work because we know that hunger is a multifaceted issue, right? So it needs multifaceted solutions or multifaceted approaches. And we do this work because we believe very strongly in the power of dignified and sustainable employment. So we purchase items from our artisan partners around the world. We purchase those so that those artisans receive a fair wage for their work. That dignified employment leads to development in those communities, and families are strengthened. Our items are then sold at our permanent packing sites, our mobile pack events, and our online store. So please all shop online now that you all have shopped right there. And when that happens, obviously it's a great engagement tool, right? And you give gifts and you share the mission of FMSC. So we spread the mission that way. And then what's super cool is that our retail profits go to fund more meals. So literally the artisans that live and work in communities where the meals are served are working, their work is on the other end of this, providing meals for other people around the world. It's just such a cool cycle as it happens. So most of our artisan partner groups that we work with are also food partners, like our friends. And they run livelihood employment programs, artisan programs. Some of the artisan groups, it's more of a heritage craft. Some it's just a new skill that they're teaching people. But we are so thankful for Kutzala Artisans. Janine is one of our favorite partners. We can say that because we have no other artisan partner groups here. But it's true. I know it's been at least 10 years that we have purchased products from Kutzala Artisans. And Janine and I have a lot of fun talking about different critters, what critters should be next, and does this head look right? And we send a lot of pictures back and forth.
You designed a unicorn, Jenny.
Yeah.
Explain that to us, Wazi.
And why? Exactly. So we have a lot of fun. We don't do this because it's fun, though. It's serious business. So we want to talk a little bit more about that impact today. So, did my slide change? It did. Okay, so the numbers you're going to see on the screen are our 2024 fiscal year numbers. But in 2024, that was last time I asked Janine, but Kutzala employed 120 artisans. And I'm wondering if you can tell this group a little bit more about what that work means to those artisans and their families.
Well, it's huge. As I said, there's no employment in the country. If it was 70, not 17. When you think about the Great Depression, 23 or 24% was rock bottom for the U.S. So 70%. So they're subsistence farmers. So it's hope. It's a job. They can feed their children. They can put their kids in school. It gives them an option because for a lot of them are young women. There's certainly young men there as well. But the alternative is not something that we want to talk about at a luncheon.
Do you have an artisan story that you could share with us about a powerful story?
I could tell you 120 powerful stories because they're all, they're all the same and they're all powerful and they're all different. But there's one young man who we heard about who was deaf and mute. And he was growing up in the community, and his job by one of his neighbors was to be the goat herder. So he would go out and herd the goats, and then he'd bring them back in. And we get paid once a month. So at the end of the month is when you get paid. Well, the guy didn't pay him. So then the next month he still went out and did it because there was nothing else he could do. He didn't go to school, didn't get paid. Third month, same thing, didn't get paid. So he's not bringing anything into the family. So his uncle, kind of his protector, came to Project Canaan and asked us, is there any way you could hire him, like he can handle the goats? He couldn't count the goats, unfortunately, but he could at least watch the goats. And so we gave him a job at Kutsala, and he went from being a junior rapper to a senior rapper. He has the highest paid job there now. And I will say that when he got his first pay, which we put automatically into his bank account, his neighbors, or the uncle, I think it was, went and actually took all of his pay. So we were notified at HR, and that does not sit well with the Maxwells. And so the Maxwells went and had a conversation with the uncle, and the young man now does great work and gets paid. It's awesome.
Mess with the Maxwells.
Mess with the Maxwells.
So on the next slide, are we on the next one? There we go. So in 2024, FMSC purchased over $230,000 in product from Kutsala Artisans. That is a lot of beaded items, you guys. A lot.
It's a lot more this year.
And it's more this year already. Exactly. I think we stressed you out with the Christmas order a little bit. Okay. So can you share with us what that means for both for Heart for Africa and your programs, and then also for that broader community, that there is income in that community?
Well, I actually went and bought something from one of your partners in Haiti to take back to the manager, who was the one stressed out about the large order. But Ian's the operations guy. I just do the design stuff. He sat down and calmed her down, and she'll love the gift, so it'll all be fine. But we keep going back to hope, and it just seems like such a simple, overused word, but it is. It gives them a job. It gives them a hope for the future when they might have an unplanned pregnancy. Again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of generational rape. It's an unfortunate situation there, but they may want to keep that child, and they can help that child. They can be pregnant at work, and then they can go to the hospital and they can pay for that, and they can pay for clothes, and it's life changing. But also, if they have an old grandmother who's living there or an old grandfather there, in that culture they are responsible to care for the elderly. That's why they have so many children, because the children are your 401k. So when you think, oh, why do they have 8 or 9 children? Well, that's your 401k. Why do you have so much money in your 401k? If you're thinking you want to get rid of some of it, you can talk to us afterwards, but you can't give us your children, that's all I'm saying. But for them, that their children that they need to provide for are the ones who they are hoping will care for them.
Okay, the next slide is talking about how many items that were sold, Heart for Africa items or Kutsala items that were sold in 2024 through FMSC. You guys, 18,344 items from Kutsala were sold at FMSC. And in addition to that, Kutsala Artisans also makes donation thank you items for us. So if someone donates $106 to feed a child for a year, if it's Christmas time, they might get a beaded ornament from Heart for Africa. If they're on a mobile pack, they might get a beaded keychain. So we also gave away a lot of those thank you items last year, 6,750 of those. So it's a very powerful way for FMSC to engage with our supporters. If you think about it, people have just packed food, they're excited about it, they want to take that next step and do more, and it's a great engagement tool. It also is such a great tool for spreading mission, right? Because you buy those gifts, you give them to somebody else, you tell them about FMSC. So it just has a very cool impact. And that number one item for 2024 is on that slide, is the Redeemed Wall Cross. Now, shameless plug, there's more in the back, okay? But that was our number one item in 2024. And it sold 824 units, you guys. And how cool is that there's 824 households with this cross hanging up that was made in Eswatini, Africa? And I started thinking about how cool that is, and then I thought, there's a lot more households that need that cross, right? We have a lot more
You
crosses.
all need that cross.
Yes, we all need that cross. But I was hoping that you would share the story of how the Redeemed Cross came to be, because it came out of COVID, it came out of a hard time. Can you share that with this group?
Well, the Redeemed Cross, really, as you have all talked about, we want to stretch a dollar. All of us, you know, I'm a former business person. If I get a dollar, I need to stretch that dollar. And we're very concerned about waste. As part of our sustainability program, we want to be environmentally sustainable, we want to be fiscally sustainable, so we work very hard on that. But I was walking around, this was right around COVID time, and they were packing up the shop, and they were sweeping up the beads, because when they're working on putting beads on wire, they often end up on the floor. So they were sweeping all these beads up, and I thought, where are they going to put them? And I was down there almost every day at that point, so but I didn't know what we did with them. So they shoveled them up, and they're covered in dust and dirt, and they dumped them into this big vat of really dirty beads. Now, don't you want to go buy one? And I thought, well, what are we going to do with those beads? And they said, well, there's nothing we can do with them. And I said, well, why don't we wash them? Well, then what are we going to do with them? And it just came to me that, you know, there's redemption in the beads that were on the floor. They were thrown away, they were dumped, and why don't we wash them, put them out to dry in the sun, in the hot African sun, and then make a cross out of them. It's just a full circle moment for redemption. So that's how the Redeemed Cross came to be, and then the little heart in the middle is made of Swazi mud, which is our own handmade ceramics. We have our own kilns. The bracelets you see at the back, they're all hand-rolled. We call it Swazi mud because that's what it started as, and now it turns into that beautiful little heart that is the center of the bowl.
That story just really resonated with so many of us and with so many of our supporters. It's just a cool story. On the next slide, you will see the exciting numbers here. That the sales of the Food Salad products were over $430,000 at FMSC last year, which funded 661,430 meals, you guys. Can you believe it? Through the sale of just your products. Absolutely amazing. And that is 1,812 children, a meal a day for an entire year. So over 1,800 children got a meal a day for an entire year through the sales of just the Food Salad products. So not only does sustainable employment and these kind of programs feed kids, right, because families are able to buy food, but we're also feeding kids through the retail profits. So one thing that I've loved doing as part of my job is when I have met with different artisan groups, being able to share with them the impact of their work. I've not been to Eswatini, I need to go. But can you tell us what it means to the artisans when they find out that they are helping to feed kids that they will never meet?
Well, it's interesting because we've had several visits from people from FMSC, and they love coming to visit. And when we tell our workers that the people from FMSC are coming to visit, they're so excited. We've got lots of visitors who come, and they're very polite, but they love seeing the faces of the people who actually buy our product, who sell the product, but also help them. So anyone of the 480 people who work on the farm, they all know that if they get near the end of the month and they don't have any money and they're really stuck for food, our philosophy, Ian and my philosophy, is we shouldn't have any of our workers' kids hungry when we have, 1 million or 100,000 meals in a storage container. They should not be hungry. And even though we're distributing to other people in the most rural areas. So everyone knows that if they get to the end of the month or 2 weeks into the month and they don't have food for their kids, they can go down to the clinic. So there's no shame involved. They go in and say they want to see the nurse, and the nurse has a list of the people who typically come, but there might be other times that other people come. And they know that, yes, they're feeding children in the community, but we are there to help them as well. And if their kids need food, they can go and get help. They can tuck it into their bag or whatever. No one needs to see it, but they know that their children will not go hungry.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just want to close you guys with this Bible verse up here, Ephesians 3:20. Not only is it one of my all-time favorite Bible verses, but it's really, it's what I pray for FMSC Marketplace. And it's just such a cool illustration of the ripples of hope that we're talking about, right? So we can make a difference in how we purchase. And so when you cast that stone in the water, when you purchase that artisan item, all the ripples that come from that. So the sustainable employment, the development in the communities, the joy that you're sharing, the mission that you're sharing, and then the meals that you're providing. And so when I think about that and I think about this verse, I think about God is we're not just making ripples, you guys. God is turning it into waves. It's waves. So I just want to leave you with that. Thank you, Janine.